Good morning, Redeemer family. Well, it seems like one step forward and two steps backward. I'm sure you are aware by now that we are not having sanctuary worship this morning. If the reasons were legitimate that we closed down worship for 3 months, then those reasons have multiplied. I'm sure you've heard by now that the number of COVID cases has increased significantly over the number of cases we had at the peak of the virus back in April. Now, I know that there are a lot of different ways of interpreting these numbers and explaining them away. I know there are other factors that come to play in our lives in addition to COVID. So I know that some of you are very happy about the decision we've made. You feel like we have made a wise and loving decision. Others of you are unhappy, frustrated, maybe even upset, and you feel like we have made an unwise decision. So this is what I'm asking for: grace, 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 lots and lots of it. I want to give it, and I want to receive it, and I want us to just spread grace around our church these days. And I need you to know this, that we didn't make this decision lightly. The deacons, elders, lots of conversations. We brought staff into the discussion. But more importantly than discussing, we prayed and prayed and prayed. We committed to do that because we have these goals. We want to love the Lord well, and we want to love his people well. And if our closing down worship can in any way prevent a second wave of this virus, we want to do that. If any of you were to contract this virus because you had been here worshiping with results that we can't know ahead of time, or if the virus were to spread because we insisted on being in this place, that would grieve us, and we would really feel in many ways like we had failed as leaders. So please, grace, grace, grace. And also this prayer. Pray for the leadership of the church as we navigate these tumultuous and troubled waters of these days. And also in your prayer, ask this: Lord, what are you doing? What are you up to? What are you trying to teach us? What are you trying to show us? Are you preparing us for something different? You know, the first church worshiped in homes, small groups. That was church. And from homes, they went to the catacombs, the caves underneath the city, because the persecution was so severe. They couldn't worship together. And from the catacombs, they emerged to worship in churches like the one that we love worshiping in now. So where we worship isn't as important as that we worship. And so we want to think outside of the box and get creative with ways that we can continue to worship until we're able to come together in this place safely again. I know this as well, and make this a matter of prayer. God is a God of order. We see it in creation. We hear it in the old hymn, sun, moon, stars, and their courses above. They join together with all of creation in manifold witness of God's mercy and love. Order is God's way for us, the order of creation. Male and female, he created them. There's order there, and order is a blessing from God to your life and to mine. We have a culture that is willingly moving, it seems to me, even pushing toward disorder on every front. A culture that dismisses the wisdom of the Lord. It's replaced God's wisdom with the wisdom of this age, our age, and unfortunately it's an age of arrogance. I believe we now above all people have finally arrived at true wisdom, that wisdom hadn't been known before this generation. The wisdom and order of God is set aside. So know this: disorder is not from the Lord. And make no mistake about it, the church will not be unaffected by the disorder that's creeping into our culture. So pray. Lord, what are you doing during these times of disorder? What do you want us to learn about you? What do you want us to learn about ourselves, about church, about worship, about evangelism, spreading the gospel in these times? Pray. Ask the Lord to reveal those things. But right now, let's worship the Lord. Worship brings order back into our lives. Worship brings order back into our lives because worship brings you and me into the presence of the one and only true and living God. And in his presence there is order, there is peace, there is refreshment, there is restoration, and there is fullness of joy. So toward that end, if you look in your worship guide, you'll find a call to worship printed there from Psalm 66. So I hope you've located that. When you have, let's stand as we have been doing, worshiping where you are as we have been doing, and be called to worship through the word of the Lord. Psalm 66, let's read together. Shout with joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Make his praise glorious. Say to God, how awesome are your deeds. All the earth bows down to you. They sing praise to you. They sing praise to your name. Come and see what God has done, how awesome his works in man's behalf. Come, let us rejoice in him. He rules forever by his power. His eyes watch the nations. Let not the rebellious rise up against him. Praise our God, O peoples. Let the sound of his praise be heard. He has preserved our lives and kept our feet from slipping. Shout with joy to God, all the earth. Sing the glory of his name. Make his praise glorious. Amen. Let's do that now.